Okay, so in this tutorial, we're going to be talking about the ifs formula. Now, in the singular formula video that I showed you before, I did show you this cool hack where you can nest in if formulas together to create a lot of different options. I will show you an example here, but I'm going to show you the other alternative, which is the ifs. So let me remind you that with Google Sheets or with spreadsheets in general, there's usually two or more ways to do something. So you can find a simple formula to use, or you can use a more complicated one, whatever works best for your situation. Use it. There is no right or wrong. I'm not going to say the nested if formulas are wrong or the ifs formula is correct. Like there's no, as long as it gets the job done, it doesn't matter how you got there, okay? Now, I'm going to show you an example. So this is the one that we did in the if formula, so singular. This is a nested if. So this is saying, hey, if this date is equals to today, I want it to say due date or due today. But if it is after today, yes, if it's after today, then I want it to show upcoming. So it's a date that's upcoming. And then if it's not, it's going to be overdue. So as you can see, that's two if formulas. So I have one if here and then one if here. So one is nested inside of the other. Because remember, with an if formula, we have the actual statement right here saying, hey, if this date right here equals today, then if that's true, I want it to say this, which is my due today. If not, then I want it to do this. And in the if not, so if it's false, this is where I added in another if formula. So this is an if formula nested, like those Russian dolls nested in each other. Exactly. So two if statements nested in together. So this is a little bit more of a complicated way of doing it, but there's another way of doing it, which is the ifs plural formula. So if I double click in here, we get the exact same thing happening. It's saying, hey, ifs, and we give all of our statements as well as the result we want to show. So I'm going to show you how to write it out, but first I just want to quickly read it. So if this date is today, it's going to say due today. Now, if it is after today, it's going to say upcoming. And then if it's before today, it's going to say overdue. So as you can see, with an if statement, the singular version, you only get to say one statement and then what happens if it's true and what happens if it's false. With an ifs, you get multiple versions. You can say, hey, if it's going to say this, then I want this to happen. If it says this, I want this to happen. So you got different versions here. So you can add as many as you want. I mean, there might eventually be a limit, but we don't want to put 100 of them all together. But it gives you many options versus having all these if statements nested together. So I'm going to show you how to write this. So I'm just going to double click into my cell. I'm going to do equals ifs. So again, plural. I'm just going to select it, or you can put your left bracket. And now it's going to ask me my condition. So what's my first condition? Then it's going to ask me the value that I want to receive if this condition is true. So I'm going to select a cell and I'm going to say, hey, if this one equals today, so I'm going to write in today, then I'm going to do left and right bracket. Then I want that to say, so I'm going to put a comma, and now we're going to put in our value. So what do I want it to say? So I can make it do another formula, but this one I just want it to literally say, because we're just adding in our status here, I want it to say due today. And you can put in emojis if you want. So if I want to say like a big warning sign, say, hey, it's due, I could do that as well. Now at the end of my formula, I'm going to put a comma, and now we can start with our second condition. So I'm going to select the same cell again. This is where my date is, and I'm going to say, hey, if it is greater than, so I got my greater than sign, today, left bracket, right bracket, I'm going to put a comma. So now I'm going to say, hey, if that is true, if the date that's showing is after today, then I want it to say upcoming. Upcoming. So remember, if we're putting in text, we have to put it in quotation marks. And then now I can put my comma, and now we're going to put the last condition in there. So I'm going to again select my date here. I'm going to say, hey, if it is before today's date, so my lesser than, my lesser than today. I always get the like greater than and lesser than symbols mixed up, so don't mind me, but this is the lesser than. So hey, if today is before, or sorry, if this date here is before today, I want to say, so that's my equation right here. Now I'm going to put my comma, and now in quotation marks, I'm going to put what I want it to say, and I'm going to say overdue. And maybe I will put in an emoji. Maybe I'll put in like a exclamation or emergency. Let's put in a little alert there. And then I'm putting a space in between my emoji and my text. And now I can add in more conditions if I want, but I'm done. I just wanted those 3 conditions. I'm going to put in my right bracket, and I'm going to hit that, hit enter. So then it submits the formula. And as you can see, because it's currently March 13th, happy Friday the 13th, February 18th, of course, is before, so it's going to say it's overdue. If I put it in for today's date, so if I put March 13th, it says, hey, it's due today. If I put it in a future date, it's going to say upcoming. So that's your options there. You could do this with a lot of different things, like an if formula can be used for anything that you want to use an if formula for. And if you want to have multiple of them, that's essentially what the ifs formula is for. So if you have multiple ifs, instead of nesting them, you could just do an ifs formula. And it's a lot more easier to see and like view. So it's like, hey, we got one option, the result. Second condition, the result. Third condition, the result. So it's a lot easier to read versus a nested one. Like you can still read a nested one, but it's just more like complicated. So that's why a lot of people like using the ifs formula, the plural version, versus nesting the singular formula in it. So that's the options. So anytime you have more than 2 results or 3 results. So this one, yeah, if you have more than 2 results, like you want to say more than 2 things, then I would use the ifs formula or a nested if formula. So for example, we did over here, our pass fail, we only used one if formula because we only had 2 options. We had a pass or a fail. So that was it. So if is fine. Because I had 3 options here, overdue, upcoming, and due today, that I would use an ifs formula or an if did formula. Over here, we just have completed and to do. So again, just 2 options. I would just do an if, a singular formula. Over budget, same thing. Under budget, on budget, whatever you want to call it. That would still be just an if, singular formula. But anything you want more than 2 options. So like if you had different statuses, maybe you had ones that said maybe canceled or maybe overdue, like if you had due dates, like you can have a lot of different options. Like you can use this in a lot of different things. But yeah, so that's that. If you have any questions at all, let me know. Now, if you are a beginner and you want to learn more about Google Sheets, I do have a free course. I have the Wild Heart Spreadsheet Academy. This is completely free. You could check it out. You learn from going from a very beginner, never touch Google Sheets in your life. You learn all that, and then you learn a lot of different steps. So you up-level your skills in this. You also get the Wild Heart Spreadsheet Idea Generator. It's a custom GPT to help you figure out your first 5 beginner-friendly spreadsheets. And then you also get tutorials learning how to create a super cute weekly planner like this. So if you want that, I will link it below. It's just a free mini course if you want to check that out. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm happy to answer any of them. And if you have any requests for videos, please let me know in the comments because I would love to know what you want me to create next. All right, bye.